Okay, something a little different today. I'm going to be blind reacting a deck. Shout out to Rick for sending this over and for being willing to go through this process. It's the first time I've done this. So off the bat, so BellyMD, gut feelings validated. Okay, this is a good tag. I don't really know what the company does. I like the idea of my feelings being validated. One thing I might cut here, 100 plus waitlist signups. I wouldn't toss that out on the opening slide. That I don't really know if that's an impressive number or a not impressive number. Same with LOIs. LOIs I pretty much discount generally. You could just keep this as BellyMD without having to have any of that stuff on the right, and it would be just as effective. Maybe a sentence about what the company is actually doing by validating my gut feelings. So, okay, let's move along. The problem. All right, so first thing that I notice on the slide, this is a lot of information. I'm on my computer right now. If I were on my phone, this would be really hard to read. So basically, you can cut down as much as possible on some of these things. Okay, so millions of Americans suffer with unexplained pain. I get that. Test say labs are normal. Chronic discomfort's not normal. That makes a ton of sense. This section here, this is then a little repetitive. You don't need that. And generally speaking, you might be able to break this out into 3 slides and it might be more helpful, right? Like I could see systemic failures being its own slide, patient experience, and then opportunity I would actually cut from this in general. I'll explain why. We're going to move that to the back of the deck. Market. Okay, so just going from problem to market, I actually usually don't do. So typically what I would want to see is go from problem to size of problem to solution to value of solution. That's because it's a more logical flow than saying, here's a problem, here's then the market that we're solving, and then here's how we solve it. Aesthetically, too, this is the same repeated slide as the title slide. It's nitpicky. It doesn't really matter that much, but it's something that I would personally adjust, right? So TAM, SAM, SOM, typical slide. This makes sense. It's a good market slide. I would just get rid of this logo on the left, maybe replace that with a figure or something like that, or a one-liner saying, yeah, actually, you could even move this one-liner over to the left there, and that would solve the kind of the visual and aesthetic challenge here. Timing, I don't know if you actually need this slide. So this is not a slide you'd see in a typical slide deck. This is more about the problem too. So like if you were going to include this, you should put it back with the problem slides. Logically, this feels a little bit out, like market is booming. Markets change quickly. I'm not sure that's necessarily a strong statement there. And a lot of this is actually a little bit repetitive. Another nitpicky thing, I'd avoid passive voice here. So instead of AI tools are ready, what are AI tools actually doing? Functional lacks intelligence. This is just a grammar error too. So nice, easy things we can go through and fix there. Okay, so this is the actual solution slide. This is what Belly is doing. Now, this is kind of a problem that this is so late in the deck, mostly because you kind of want some idea of what the product is or what you're solving from the very early innings just to set with a venture capitalist what they're looking at, right? So I'd like to see this moved earlier in the deck, or at least hint to it, saying that you're doing a brain gut platform, or like the last platform to solve brain gut analysis. Um, this section here should either be cut or moved to an appendix. It's hard to read. It's distracting. We're taking up a ton of space here too. That means that it's trickier to actually read the text on the right. So that's something. Another thing that I usually got taught when I was working at my old fund is that you would need text to be the same size. Again, nitpicky, doesn't really matter, no, but it's just something I notice visually. So what is Belly actually doing? So the first biomarker. Okay, so they're doing. Okay, this is something that I'm familiar with what a blood spot assay is because I've done a little bit of medical investment. Most people are not going to be, so if you're selling this, you need to dumb it down just a little bit too. Same deal on this. MGB plus stack and FDA IND are not common terms. Your average venture capitalist is not going to know what those mean. And yeah, but generally speaking, this slide makes sense to me. Simplify, cut down, move the additional information to the appendix. Okay, just this is a little hard to read here. I think the font or the spacing got messed up there. Not quite sure what happened. I'll Also, aesthetically, this looks really different than the other slides. The other slides are much nicer put together. I don't really know what's going on this slide. So they're launching D2C, lab partnership, groundbreaking science. I can cut that. I actually don't get the point of this slide. So that's one where I'd recommend either cutting it, reformatting. I don't get what it's trying to say. Maybe it's about the proprietariness of the platform. Maybe there's something that goes there. This is far lighter in content, so I just don't know how that fits in. Supplement stack. I'd move this to the appendix too. You're now pitching a bunch of different things at the same time. This starts to become really distracting for anybody looking at it. Again, on the aesthetics, this slide feels like it was tossed in here from somewhere else. Owning the brain gut ecosystem. Yeah, so I'd put this slide needs to be moved a little bit earlier to be after the solution slide. So it's the solution, the value of the solution, and then how we tackle it. Go to market makes a lot of sense. I do believe in the D2C growth engine, especially for a consumer product. That said, this is a lot of information to throw. I would actually make this into 2 slides. You can make this one slide, you can make this one slide, you can add some graphs, add maybe a picture of the TikTok or something like that. And then this slide, oh man, this is really tricky to read. So starting with fulfillment, back order, going to full supplement line, public app launch. Okay, so it takes some time to read the figure. I would just use like a straight line and simplify the visuals here. This is still a lot of information, but yeah, a normal timeline here is usually the more standard that you'd see for a slide. Do you necessarily need this in a slide deck for an intro deck? Maybe, maybe not. Traction to date, again, I mean, this makes general sense to me. It is still really text dense. I think there are ways you could combine a lot of these and then give the full details in the appendix. So you say patents secured, SKUs ready to deploy with manufacturer, waitlist, sure. And then you put these into a proper timeline on the right-hand side. Okay, this makes sense here. I'd move this earlier and maybe even cut the business model slides. This is all you need to know. Multiple revenue streams, strong IP moat, engaged user base. One thing to note here that may or may not be interesting to people is patents aren't really that defensible when it comes to venture capital, so that doesn't actually matter too much. Closely held trade secrets, trademarks. Again, how much do people actually care about IP? Their general rule of thumb is that everything will get ripped off by China, so you just have to beat them to it. Team, and I would solidly move this way earlier. You want to set the framing with, we have a great team, especially at this stage. You're going to want to, you're really going to want to have that team handled up front. That's an important side of this. Another thing, and this is going to be a beige flag or a red flag. Some people won't touch it. Either Rick and Katie are married, or they're siblings. Either way, VCs generally hate both of those, especially with a COO this early in the business. That's going to create some questions there. Again, not necessarily a problem. I actually like investing in married founders. Like one of my best companies, the founders actually got divorced. And it's still on a tear, but that is something to address. Anyways, I'd move this earlier, put the team front and center, highlight the people, then go team, problem, value of problem, solution, value of solution, how we're tackling the go-to-market, current progress, and then one thing that's critically missing here is the ask. I don't know how much money the company's raising. I don't know what the company, well, I do know what the company's going to do with it because I have these milestones here, but I don't know anything about the raise, don't have any idea if it's a fit for me or my thesis. I mean, it's not fit for my thesis, but like from a fund size perspective and a round size. So all of that's really important data. That's the major glaring hole that I feel like I'm missing right now in this content too.